All right, this is Melissa, the Bread Geek, with a second review of the Sun Oven. A couple additional tips for people who are wanting to use their Sun Oven to make bread in particular, things you should know. First off, first mistake I made today is I did not preheat my Sun Oven in enough time. The Sun Oven, because it takes a little bit longer time to preheat, longer than my traditional oven, I let my bread get too far along in the proofing process before I put my Sun Oven out to preheat. So by the time the Sun Oven had reached any kind of a higher temperature, my bread was already a little overproofed. So first problem, first thing I'd say, make sure and preheat your Sun Oven about the time that you set your loaf out to rise for its final rise. Second thing, it was nice and sunny and wonderful, and the forecast looked good. But as you can see in the reflectors, we encountered some clouds. So by the time I got my bread into the oven, it was unable to rise. You can hear it's windy too, and I think that's cooling off the oven too. Unable to rise above 200 degrees. You can see it's kind of hovering between 150 and 200, which basically makes this oven a really fancy proofing box. It's been out here for about an hour and a half. I was told that the bread would still cook at lower temperatures, but I kind of disbelieved that, and now I know it's not true. Let's open this up. I mean, it's the fact that these are cool to the touch and that I could open that without any mitt tells you how cool it is. So you can see I got a little bit of a crust here, more just from drying out than from anything else. The bread continued to rise, it continued to proof more or less. But you can see where I poked it to test the temperature. Because the temperature of the oven can't get above about 175 degrees, there's no way that the internal temperature of my bread is going to get above 180, which is what we need for a good baked loaf. So I stuck the thermometer in here, it kind of crunched the whole loaf, and since this is not really salvageable at this point, I'm just going to show you. Let's just pull this off. It is completely doughy on the inside. It's hot in there, but it's doughy and nothing is going to happen with that. So, kind of a bummer. I still think it would be, a good way to cook a lot of other things, casseroles and, other things like that, even vegetables or whatnot. But when it comes to bread, where bread is more time sensitive and you've put a lot of work into it before it even gets into the oven, I'd say you really want to make sure that your day is going to look perfectly sunny before you attempt it, which is kind of hard. I mean, you always have your oven inside to back you up if you need it, but adds that little variability, a little bit of a hit and miss. It's kind of too bad about that. Luckily, I had another loaf that I put in my inside oven, and that one turned out fine. So anyway, just some tips, things I think you should know before you spend, money on a product, particularly for bread making. Like I said, I think it will be good for a lot of other things. If I had one, I would still use it for bread making. But if I was just going to use it for bread, I maybe would not purchase it. I don't know. Jury's out on that one. Just because of our financial situation, I don't know if we could afford to buy something that I could only use intermittently. So, there you go. Good things to know. We're at a 50-50 success rate at this point, and hope that was helpful. All right, bye-bye.